This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by The Automatic Age, available for pre-order at greatplains.mb.ca.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm here with my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry, and producer extraordinaire, Dan Vadeboncoeur.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah. Oh, I've got so much stuff going on right now that it's actually, I don't even know where to start. The studio is a mess. There's some...
We're in the middle of reshuffling our inventory because throughout the year of conventions, that back room, our storage room, it's like a tornado of artwork.
Yeah.
And so we're finally sorting it all out, which is a big endeavor.
And we print in faraway places, right? You go to the States, you should manufacture it there, right? And so then you end up bringing back stock with you. And so you end up with all these like tailings of the last show that you have to reorganize and figure out what you're using for what and where and when.
And I'm trying to sort out like which pieces are retired and which are staying in my current circulation. So there's all these boxes of like, these are getting tucked away into retirement and trying to sort.
What does a retired piece do in its retirement?
It gets, so what I've kind of found is if
plays canasta a lot.
Plays canasta. Yeah. Goes to country
Goes on cruises.
Goes on cruises.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully doesn't get stuck on said cruises.
Yes.
Yeah.
I usually shelf it for a year or two. And then I bring it back. I have these like kind of preloaded old portfolios that I do for local events and shows I can drive to and like school visits and stuff. So my new stuff is these big, huge, heavy boxes, and it's all organized, and I have like, anywhere from 15 to 80 of each piece. But my old stuff is a lot more varied. So I just have these preloaded portfolios, and I just bring those. And so it's kind of a little more variety, and it just kind of helps.
And we've been noticing an interesting effect recently.
Yeah.
We've been doing the shows long enough that pieces that are retired, when you bring them back after a few years, they're actually new to your loyal customers. Like, and what I mean by that is like, we've talked before about the 80-20 rule, 20% or 80% of your revenue from 20% of your repeat customers. Well, a repeat customer that you picked up, say, 2 years ago has never seen any of that retired work and maybe is interested in it. And that was kind of like a surprise to us, where old pieces that we were kind of like broken up with, like these are done.
Well, and they get retired because they stop selling.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I keep bringing these pieces around, and I'm not selling more than one or two a show. Okay, well, I'm going to... And then you bring it back, and suddenly you're selling 10 to 20 of them.
Yeah.
What the heck?
You get the glow is off you, right? And off that piece. And then when somebody else discovers it for the first time, it just feels good again to know that that work is still alive,
Yeah.
so many years later. And I mean, that's sort of, that's the old Faulkner quote, like, I'm smashing it apart right now, but the basic idea is that an artist should make work capture life, because 100 years later when someone describes it or finds it, it is life, it is describing life. And so even though we're kind of done with it and it's in the short term, it has a life, it lives beyond itself. So that's just like the mess of the studio. And then on top of that, I'm doing the writer in residency 2 days a week.
That's fun.
We've got a lot of people coming in.
Tons, it's been super busy, and from all walks. So people who have, this is my first draft of a poem or a short story or a screenplay, to this is my fifth draft of it, and I've already published 2 novels, and I just don't know what to do with this one. What's my next step? And it's been a very interesting exploration of people's creative process. I've also been doing a lot of classroom visits. In the last 2 days, I probably did about 20 hours of class time. So just visiting students and talking to whole groups. Some of those groups were basically lectures about the nuts and bolts. Like, here's how I do a thumbnail. Here's how that thumbnail turns into a, semi-refined drawing. Here's what my digital process. Here's my collage process. Like the real nuts and bolts of making a page. And other ones were more about, how do you make a job of it? And then other classes more interested in how do you move between different, essentially, industries and not be ostracized from one when you left it. Like if I go into theater, what does that do to my comics work? And if I do comics, what does that do to my prose work? And, so it's just been a really interesting set of conversations. But then I also have a number of books that are coming due for deadline. So I've been working all day and staying up till 2 a.m. and then starting it all over again. So I'm a little cooked right now. I'm a little cooked, but it feels good because they're all things that I've literally dreamed about doing my whole life.
It's a good kind of busy, right? It's this is what it's all about. And of course, you guys had, speaking of local cons, you guys had Winterfest. You were there this past weekend for the one-day event.
It's a one-day event. I don't know final numbers, but they were saying over 2,000 people.
Look again, every time I wasn't able to go this year. We usually do a table for FanQuest, but I had to work that day, and nobody else on my committee could make it, so we couldn't get a table. But yeah, from what I saw on social media, there's a lot of people there, and a lot of people.
Well, I saw some posts that it's for sure their highest attendance for Icon, but I think they might have even said they doubled their attendance.
From last year's Winterfest.
And now this is just for the dear listener. This is not one of these 150,000 people shows. This is a small local event. But it's been really great for us because it's local and we do so many away shows. People see on our social media or they see in the media what we're up to. And then now we're there. For a really low fee, you can come in and see what other people have to pay a lot more for.
Yeah, no, it's a great little show, and it shows again the dedication of the anime fan base in the city. So many people love anime, and there's so much they do these. This is their second show. They do a main convention in July. That's a 3-day convention.
Yeah.
This is just a one-day thing. I was actually doing research. I ran some stories on it on CGOB on the day of. I was just trying to help them get, I don't know how many CGOB listeners made their way over to Winterfest, but you never know.
Yeah.
So I put it in the news a couple times. We did send somebody, Global sent a camera there to interview somebody.
Yeah,
so we had
saw them. Yeah.
We had some interview clips, and so I put together some stories just for the newscasts, and I did some research, and it was this was their 10th Winterfest.
Oh.
And the
10 years.
Winterfest was actually created to celebrate 10 years of Icon. So Icon's been around for 20 years.
Wow.
Or maybe 20 years next year. I can't remember the exact date, but it's around that time. And yeah, this Winterfest, it started in 2011. So this is not it's complicated. So it's actually it is the 10th one, but
right. I actually had no idea that show had ran for that long.
Yeah, no, but it's just it's a one-day celebration. What's different about it from other conventions is that it goes late. Although Icon goes late too. Icon goes 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
As far as local conventions here, but they go all the way to midnight for Winterfest. Did they have a social this year? I don't know if they did it this year.
They did have DJs and stuff that went. Yeah. It's an interesting. What's the word? I'm a left turn from normal convention setups because you get to come at this reasonable hour. You can come set up in the morning. The show doesn't start till noon. It does go till late. The vendor room went till 8 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 o'clock is pretty late for that kind of thing. Yeah.
But they have lots of programming in lots of different areas all over, and so people are coming throughout the day to sit to see screenings of movies that they can't see any other way, to watch. Episodes of their favorite anime, with groups of people to cheer and shout at their favorite parts, and it's so much more focused on the community side of it than on this is a one-day mall feeling.
Yeah,
and I know that sounds silly to say because we're in the job, we're there to sell things, but it actually makes the whole experience so much better. That so many people can come through, and maybe they're not there to spend any money at all, but they are there for 12 hours. They're ready to be there.
And I think that's the mark of a good convention, when it's not all about selling to the people that are coming in the door. It's about getting together. What I found about these events is that more often than not, it's about getting together with your friends who all love the same things as you. And for some people, for the bigger cons, it's the only time they get to see a certain group of friends.
I know a lot about you. More than you think.
How do you know that?
There was a death in the community a couple of days ago. Angela Sawatsky, and shout out to her family. 35 years old and not here anymore. I don't know the details. All I know is that when I first started doing shows, she was the first person from that side of the table to come over, introduce herself, and say, "Hey, I do a lot of these shows. I haven't seen you before. What's the work that you've got? If you don't know, if they're not giving you straight answers, I might have them. Feel free to reach out." Like just a straight up ambassador to the idea that you can sell art for a living. And so, it's really weird because I would see her 10 times a year.
Yeah.
There are other friends I have I don't see 10 times a year for 3 days in a row. So to just know that you're going to, not have that person around suddenly is a real strange thing. And I mean, I joke on this podcast a lot about like, you'll be dead soon, right? So do things.
And she did do things.
But there it is.
Yeah,
right?
that's good. It's very sad. A lot of people talking about her on social media this past week, and which she contributed. Her brand was by Blackbird Designs. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So she would sell various art and different things. And
Yeah.
she's very, very talented artist.
Deep into the steampunk jewelry thing.
Like
was
the
an early
steampunk stuff, which
adopter
is
of all
super
that
cool.
stuff.
So I mean, it's sad for sure.
Yeah.
Like a morbid kind of tangent, but like I kind of hope her stuff shows up at the Winnipeg show this year in some
I see what
fashion.
you mean.
Yeah, like if were me and I passed away, I'd hope that like
that your family would bring your stuff and keep it on. Well, I mean, it sounds like, and I don't know the family personally or any of those things. From what I've seen on social media, it seems like the mom has taken over her social media accounts and is interacting with people and sharing remembrances, and they seem invested in her life. So it's very possible. But it also, if I was a parent, that would be hard.
Very difficult. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
sure. You are a parent, Greg.
Yeah. No, I meant of a parent that had lost a child.
Yeah, of course.
Which
Yes,
that's not a club anyone wants to join.
No, of course not.
So shout out to that community though, because you're absolutely right that it's like a traveling circus.
In a good way. In a good way.
In a good way.
Some people might not like that comparison.
Oh, well, I think circuses are great. So it's like a traveling circus. And I didn't realize when I left my regular teaching job that I had people that I saw every day at work. I worried that maybe that connection, which I enjoyed, I would miss. And then lo and behold, that traveling circus, which goes around and around and around to these great nations in North America, there's so many familiar faces, so many friends that can help out, so many people that are there. It's totally wild. And then that community comes together, like after the new president's election, there was some very upset people in convention land, and you just saw these little groups peel off. We were in Vancouver, and a whole bunch of the American artists that were traveling there, they were just devastated by this news, and there had been immediate racist retaliations on their families as a result of that, and the community just sort of surrounded them. It was really wild, right? Again, it's that don't mess with the circus, I guess. Right? Yeah. So, and we Justin did the hard work of putting up our 12-month calendar basically to start the convention season countdown. Yeah. How many shows are on that list?
I'm not sure, and there's still quite a few question marks.
But there's at least 25 on there or something.
It's funny. I was kind of going through my normal withdrawal that happens every first show of the year in so Vancouver was last week. That's why I missed the podcast, and I listened to the one that you did with Mike. It was great. You guys had a good talk. Yeah. I really want to see Men with Beards now.
Yeah,
I do too. Actually, I haven't watched it yet. I mean to watch it.
I'm a little embarrassed that I haven't seen it yet because I've known about it for so long.
Shame on you. And you have a beard.
I can kind of grow a beard.
Yeah,
but Mike said it's not for the men with beards, right?
Yeah,
it's for the people.
But anyways, it's almost like I can schedule it. I know that first traveling show of the year, I'm just down on traveling for conventions because I've had these nice 3 months of being productive in the studio
and sedentary.
And then once the traveling starts up, you're gone for a couple days and you're back with enough time to pack for the next trip, and then you're gone again. It gets it's stressful. And so that first show, almost like clockwork, I'm always I don't want to do conventions anymore.
Really?
What am I thinking?
No.
What is this? Yeah.
But
what have I been doing with my life?
By the time the second or third one rolls around, I'm like, oh yeah, conventions are fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So you gotta because it's a mental state to be always in motion. and to always be taking the time that's for you wherever you are. Right? Like when you're staying home like we have basically a 4-month block where we don't have to travel unless we want to, and we usually don't want to, so we just stay home. And you get into the habit of where your comforts are, where your relaxations are, where you're, as busy as I am, I still rest more at home more peacefully than I would in a hotel somewhere.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right?
Be comfortable there.
And so but then when the show sort of starts to rev up, you have these, like, at least I do. Justin and I talked about this in the studio not long ago. You kind of plan these romantic mornings for yourself on the road. So like,
I can get that.
Right? Like you're going to wake up early. You're going to book the flight so that you'll be there a day early, so that before the show sets up, you can go for breakfast. You can sit all morning, catch up on all your emails. You're just going to literally lounge and have someone bring you things, right, for 4 hours before you then work for 18 hours straight.
Or those evenings where you just tell all your friends, like, I'm not coming out. I'm going back to the hotel. I'm picking up some food on the way, and I'm just being dead to the world for...
Especially when you go certain places that have certain foods that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually just thinking about this. I'm planning a trip to Chicago with my students in the beginning of May. We're going there for a week. And one of the things I did last time was I went and there's a donut shop called Fire Cakes Donuts, which was down the street from our hotel. And I just kind of discovered it walking by. And I thought, I'll go get some breakfast there. And so I did that. I got up in the morning, way earlier than anybody else. Yeah. I went down there, got a coffee and a donut. Beautiful apple fritter. Like, this is the best apple fritter I've ever had.
How long ago was this apple fritter? Like
2 years ago.
You should see this sparkle in his eye, dear listener.
I can't wait to have another one. It's like amazing. But you kind of, when you go back to this place that you've been to before, and you guys go to some pretty big cities, there's got to be some cool kind of things to check out.
Actually,
there's a list of ramen restaurants. There's a list of sushi places.
But what I kind of love about the fact that we've been to some of these big cities a couple times is I don't have there's not the need to go exploring after the show. Like, after working for 12 hours, I don't feel obligated to, we're in Toronto. We need to go see Toronto. I'm like, no.
No, I still feel I like to
wander. If I want to rest, I can rest now. I've seen enough of Toronto, and there's always tomorrow. But if I want to take a night off and relax for the show tomorrow, I don't have to feel so guilty about that anymore.
We were staying with a bunch of people in New York at the last New York show, and Justin had to be like worried dad, because like they would stay. He had already been in New York for a number of days before the show started, so he was sort of like he was done. But I was like, here I am. I'm going to go out every night. I'm going to do stuff, work all day, go out all night.
I watched Cheers on
You watched Cheers, but the way the B&B was set up, there was no way to, and we would also have to split up at a certain point in the evening. So in order for other people to get home, that means there's no key, right? So I have to have like Justin dad waiting up for me, right, to let me in, or text him. And one time,
do you know what time it is?
No answer. Like, it's like, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something. And I'm like, uh-oh. And so I'm texting, nothing. I'm calling, nothing. I'm like, guess I'm sleeping on this stoop. That's fine. And then eventually he slithered downstairs, right? It's like, why didn't you tell me? We thought you were dead.
I hope you slept well. I brought you some cereal. You have to tell me what you like.
So that's what's going on in the studio right now, is this like push-pull between the books and book projects that we have to do, want to do, get to do, and this looming responsibility of the shows. And for the dear listener, like, why do it if it's so hard? That's the little part of the job. Like, that's the revenue, that's the income stream that you can count on. Right?
Yeah. And now you guys, you travel so much for work. Does that put you off traveling for pleasure?
No way.
You still travel quite a bit.
It's so easy to travel.
Traveling for pleasure is like,
I don't have
the suitcase?
200
Nothing.
pounds of stuff with me.
Okay.
There's no banner stands. I've even flown where I didn't have to check a bag, and it didn't click in my mind that was an option. Yeah. Like, wait, I don't have to go there. I can just walk to security. Yeah. Like, no, we're missing a step.
Yeah. And you don't have to wait for your bag to come up.
Traveling for pleasure is so much easier.
Okay, interesting.
Like, with the logistics we have to deal with for like a big show in New York versus just traveling to New York as a normal person. Yeah. It's like, oh God, this is easy. Yeah.
I see, I see those weary parents because we have 2 kids, right?
Yep.
Sarah and I have 2 kids. So when we're traveling, we have that in tow. And I see the weary parents where the kid is like, Dad, can you carry my bag? And that dad is like, no, I got my own stuff. And I'm just like, whatever. You don't even know what it means to carry stuff through an airport. Kid, give me that bag. I'll carry it for you.
Yeah. That's funny.
So because we're routinely at the maximum allowed weight in all of our luggage
We
and
know
the
how many
maximum number of
pounds
pieces.
we can go over and how friendly we need to be if we want to
Yeah.
get away with 1 pound more than that.
I think it's a 3 or 4 pound variance, and so you pack
4 pounds,
it's iffy, but with the right smile sometimes.
If you're friendly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they always think at the checker when they're like, oh, well, you're 2 pounds over, like, no problem. And I zip open the top where I have 2 books that I know are exactly 1 pound each, and I just take them out, and then it's fine, right? They're like, oh, well, that was easy. I'm like, yeah. Lucky me. Right? But it's just, you do it so much that like regular travel isn't even, it's like there's nothing to sweat.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That just reminds me of a funny story. I don't even remember what city it was, but I was at the airport and there was a family in front of me and they had misunderstood the wording of what you're allowed to bring for weight. And typical airlines, you can bring a suitcase and it has to be 50 pounds or under. And after that, it's cheaper to just bring 2 suitcases because paying for 2 is better than paying for 1 overweight. The way they understood it was 50 pounds per person. There's 5 of us flying together. That means Dad's suitcase can be 150 pounds.
Oh, right.
Grandma's can be 20 pounds. His can be 5 pounds.
Right.
You know, as long as it equals.
I see.
Yeah, they thought it all added up.
Actually, that is how it should be.
It should. Yeah, it really. It is all about the weight.
It's
It should
more
not.
about
It should
the
not matter
baggage
about the
guys that have
individual.
to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it back. Sorry, baggage handler. I wasn't thinking of you there. I was only thinking of me. You're right. 150 pounds is too much for you.
And
Like,
some airlines have different, like, I think it's Air Canada. They won't allow their guys to handle something more than 70 pounds. But
Right.
WestJet is like, it can be over 70 pounds.
Yeah, they
Oh
just
wow.
laugh, yeah. And some of the airports now have the robots. Like it's like a little
Oh,
robot
they're
conveyor
taking over.
belt. So you're just putting your...
Can't be charming.
There's no charming. You can't charm a robot,
No.
right? So that just goes on the scale, it goes on the conveyor belt. A big, giant red X appears on the screen and tells you how many pounds you're over. And then you have to get out of the line.
Oh
Right,
no.
you can't, like-
Yeah.
Do it there. You have to leave the line and do it because there's everyone else is behind you because the robots' waiting arms are there for their luggage.
We had a great idea for a airport book with dinosaurs going through the airport and all the trials and tribulations they had to go through.
T-Rex trying to take his shoes off.
That
as
sounds
he's
like a
going
Nico
through.
book.
Right. Hey, now. We can do dinosaurs. Dinosaurs have been around a long time. I don't know if you know this about
No,
dinosaurs.
that's kind of his thing. He does dinosaurs and bears.
It's true. Bears, dinosaurs, and ghosts. Well,
Kind, sort of.
sort of. Yeah. Ghost Richards.
So dinosaurs in an airport then.
The
Yeah.
problem was the airport's protocol changes so frequently, but by the time we had the book published, it would have been
Out
a
of
whole
date.
different
Out
story.
of date,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
But
right.
we had this like little family of pterodactyls that had to travel together because their kid had like a busted wing, and we had all these little
And humans were the pets, like they had to check their
the
humans.
little caveman.
An-
Yeah, it was not
an
accurate.
emotional support caveman. Is that
Yeah.
what we want?
T-Rex trying to take his shoes off.
Yeah, and I mean, and yes, humans weren't around when dinosaurs were around, but dinosaurs also didn't go to airports, so we figured we
What?
could.
You mean
like,
the Flintstones isn't realistic?
Well, that's different. That's a different timeline, right? That's a look into it.
Yeah.
Speaking of timelines, can we just nerd for a moment? I know that our normal podcast isn't about media announcements, but they announced 2 new Star Trek shows.
Oh,
are
I didn't
in
know this.
Development. Yeah, so like the success of Picard has meant that there are 2 new shows, and the people doing the digging found out that Anson Mount was signed a long contract to be Pike. And so the word on the street is one of the new shows is going to be Christopher Pike at the helm of the Enterprise.
How now in the timeline? How long was he at the helm of the Enterprise before Kirk?
So there were
took
2 captains before Kirk. I can't
Okay.
remember the first one, and then Pike is the second, and then
over?
Kirk.
Pike, that was the one, the pilot with the guys with the big brain heads.
That's right. They shot the pilot. They didn't like it, and then later
the
they
menagerie. It's called. Is that what it's
That's
called?
right. Yeah.
So that
And
they
they
didn't
got
like
Kirk.
it. They recast the captain. So the only real, I think maybe Majel Barrett was in it as well, but Leonard Nimoy was the only other actor to
Yeah.
carry over from those.
And then they recut that pilot into an episode of the regular Star Trek where Christopher Pike is on trial for
Right. Is
like,
it in a chair or
yeah,
something?
and so they
right?
do the flashback to
Yeah,
the events
yeah.
of that previously filmed episode. It was like them, like it was a way for them to put 2 episodes together because I think it was a back-to-back. Have use all the footage. Like, yeah, I mean, I love that so much. They had shot all this stuff. What are we going to use it for? It's pretty good if we frame it the right way. And so then, and Spock is in them all, right? So he's the consistent piece.
And they can be pretty creative with that stuff. I was watching last night. I came across old episodes of Batman on TV on like the Turner Classic Movies
You
channel.
mean like Adam West?
Yeah, Adam West Batman.
Yeah,
it was
that
awesome.
dance.
It was great. The Gotham City Mint was looked like a set from a play. It was like it was just basically on a studio, and then all the background is dark, and they just had the walls and the big rolls of what was supposed to be money coming off of it. It was very funny.
I feel like there's room now to make purposely really awful science fiction. So like I've been talking to Mike at Electric Monk, he was on the podcast last time, about whether or not you could make a 50s style horror movie where you purposely don't update the effects. Like you could do 50s style horror movie effects now much easier, and if you made the movie in that style with that vein with a little bit tongue-in-cheek, you could basically pull off a new retro horror movie that everyone would laugh at, and that would kind of be the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
I think that would work.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think it would work for fans of that genre.
Yeah, it's very specific. Be genre specific, but you could make a film in that way for under $1 million,
That would
and
be
you
a
could
great
get
like short series,
Yeah.
like Black Mirror, but low budget.
It reminds me of the old episode of The Outer Limits, where the one they reference in Watchmen, with the Architects of Fear, where they take that scientist and they genetically mutate him into a alien. You guys remember that one? It was the basis of Watchmen, like the comic book Watchmen.
Wait, whoa.
What? You know the part of Watchmen where the giant squid appears?
Yeah. Are you trying to assert that The Outer Limits is the basis of Watchmen?
Well, it influenced Watchmen.
Influenced, maybe. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
you're in my house now, Dan. So you better watch
this goes way back. This is when I was a kid, and we would take out episodes of The Outer Limits out of the library. And so we go there, and my dad picked this out, and he said, this episode was so scary that people had heart attacks and fainted and had to go to the hospital because they were so scared of the thing that they created in this. So when I was like 6 years old, I covered my eyes when it came time to reveal the alien. And then years later, I rewatched it again as a teenager, and it was so like cheesy.
Just bad, right?
It was just a paper mache head. So I'm like, how was I scared of that? Like, that's so funny. It's the perception of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a really interesting idea to kind of explore that.
Well, in Finley 7, he watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he covered his eyes through all the super violent parts and all the like ghosty, like melty face parts.
Thing, yeah.
Like, so people asked him, and they're like, "Oh, you've seen it?" He's like, "Well, I've seen most of it." And they're like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I had my eyes covered for all the good parts."
Well, Indiana had to cover his eyes, and so did Marion. They had to cover. They couldn't look during that part, right?
So
you should cover your eyes as well.
Good point.
Lest you get melted.
That's a good point you make.
Because he sees it that way, that makes it good.
But it's not a photograph.
What's wrong with photographs?
Nothing wrong with photographs.
Photographs don't lie.
And neither does this.
Dragon Nanny.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a project that has got some really new... There's a new head of steam on it as a result of some 3D
I don't think we got
printing.
a chance to talk about this because I've missed a week. But like a week and a half ago, we've been working on this book, Dragon Nanny, and it was kind of going in one direction and kind of had stagnated a little bit just because I had other things going on. And my book project right now is my next art book. And as soon as that was done, this is Dragon Nanny's the next graphic novel in the Silent Guardian series. But we've been working with Will Little on the toy making front, which we talked about 2 or 3 episodes back. Yeah. He has since updated the prototype for the Dragon Nanny toy.
Mind-blowingly
and
amazing.
I'll bring it over in a minute here, but it looks amazing, and it kind of got the ball rolling on the book again. And I was at the Snow Maze, which I saw that you went to as well. Yeah, Snow Maze outside of Winnipeg, so fun.
Amazing corn Snow Maze.
Yeah.
Why don't they call it Amazing Snow?
They want to keep the branding.
Because they didn't want to buy a new URL. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's so cool.
Right?
Look at that.
And we have it posted on...
Oh, that's the egg. Okay.
That's the egg.
Okay. Very cool.
Oh, I should talk about the online reaction to this as well. So I kind of, while I was at the maze and not... It's always like when you're off doing something where you're supposed to be relaxing and not working that you get ideas of what you should be working on. And it just kind of clicked, kind of the story puzzle that we'd been trying to put together. The last pieces kind of clicked into place. And so when I was in Vancouver, anytime somebody wasn't at the show, I was vigorously storyboarding the new book.
Okay.
And I have a couple pages of Dragon Nanny done, like the first couple pages, and those are staying. But now everything that happens after that, we have a new storyboard
I got
for.
this text from
and
him
it's
that
so
was
much
like,
cleaner.
Here's how it is. This is what the story. This is how it ends now. And we sort of hashed out the beats of this like 3 or 4 times. So I thought that this was done. And my first instinct of getting this text was like, oh no, we're changing it again. And then I read, and it's just, what was great about it, in just 2 simple sentences, he established such a clear and perfect ending that I was like, oh yeah, that is the ending. That's always been the ending. That's the ending we've been looking for.
Okay.
It was there to find. We had to go through all that other stuff. So that's been really...
It was, yeah. And it was like kind of surreal storyboarding it out. It's almost like remembering a story that I've seen before rather than making it up. It was just so seamless and easy, which I think...
You had a very clear vision of it in your head. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, I can't think of another story that like came out that easily and it like seems as strong and put together. So I'm really, really excited to get going on it. And then along with this toy, so... Will comes in with this amazing toy. It's about the size of like a soda pop can, is about the size of it. And we have shots of it on both Greg's social media and mine. Cool. So we took all these pictures of it, and I did like a little video of like a turnaround.
We were so excited. It was like,
so excited.
Yeah.
So the Dragon Nanny has these like long, like tube-like arms that he can kind of stretch and extend, and he can wrap himself up in his arms, and that's how he gets warm at night. Is he kind of like he makes himself into a little cocoon.
It's like almost Inspector Gadget meets Mr. Fantastic arms.
Oh, I was thinking Doc Octopus a little bit.
A little bit of that
Doc
too.
Yeah, because of the claws at the end.
Yeah.
So in the so I posted it on a couple places, and this is just kind of like
This story is about what's wrong with the internet.
yes,
Oh,
or
no.
certain parts of the internet.
Yeah.
So on Facebook and Instagram and Imager on my sites there, I can post several pictures and videos all at once. So I have this like turnaround video, and I have all these great shots of like the toy from different angles, and I'm talking
I'm
about
like
how
not
this
announcing anything more than like, hey, we're trying stuff. Check it out, how it's turning out.
is a prototype
Yeah,
toy.
Yeah.
There's this other site that I used to use a lot, and I don't use it anymore. I just kind of almost out of, I just used to post things there. But you're only allowed to post one picture, one thing at a time. And so I just picked one of the pictures that we'd taken of the Dragon Nanny, and I put it up, and I just put, I'm making a prototype toy, and you can't put any kind of description. Like, it's very cut and dry what you can post.
Right.
So I can't really get into any details on anything. And I post it, and I kind of forgot about it. And then the reaction on like Instagram and Facebook, and people are getting excited about the book. They're asking questions about making the toy and like the manufacturing and like release dates and all this. And then on that other site, I go back on and there's like 49 comments, which is like pretty unusual for that site's traffic. Like I usually don't, it's not a site for posting artwork or original stuff. You repost what the internet finds funny.
Are we deliberately not saying the name of the site?
I don't want to give it any, like, it's
All right,
not,
all right.
yeah, it's a dumb site that I used to use.
He broke up with it over this
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, okay.
I used to use it a lot, and then I realized there are much better versions of it,
Sure.
and so I graduated to different versions. But because there was only one shot, and my title was, I'm making a new toy,
And
the
angle
angle of the
shot.
Dragon Nanny, he's holding this spherical egg at the end of a long arm. And so I had 49 comments about how you're making a butt plug.
And this is your new toy, so it's butt plug related.
A
So,
new toy.
boy.
Winky,
so
winky.
our poor, our
Is there no,
Poor
there's no
kids
sense of scale in the photo you post?
you
Is
know, I
that-
guess not. Yeah, I guess some people have really small anuses. Yeah, it's just totally wild though the way that the internet gets a hold of something.
Well, and I think it was
and
just
then
that
runs with
first
it.
comment. Everybody saw that and
Funny.
like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
is hilarious.
Yeah.
And it also like the egg is detachable, like he's holding it, but in the picture it looks like it's just one piece. So I kind of get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So
I
I have
don't.
to keep that in mind when I think just turn the egg sideways so it's not.
No, come on, you
pointy.
guys.
Turn it sideways. Some people are into that.
There you go.
I would say that it's probably the one person, and yeah, you're right. Just starts from the one comment and goes from there. But I cannot see a world in which I would assume that's what that was. So know, it's just people.
I think we're okay. But it is and speaking of that, I actually talked to him, so he's going to come on as a guest later this year. But so we'll leave all the pertinent details out. But I had a friend of mine that had to deal with the opposite side of this in actual cancel culture related to a book announcement where reviewers who hadn't read the book assumed what the contents were and then made this enormous online deal about the content of a book that actually no one had access to. But this is what it is, and this is what they did, and how dare you. And it just caught fire in comic book land for like a few days, and I just I texted him to be like, hey, do you know this is happening? And he's like, yeah, I just found out, thanks. P.S. You're one of the only people that like warned me that this was happening. But like just a complete misunderstanding explodes into a like avalanche of internet hatred. So I want to have that story from that person's own lips talk about how they managed.
Now, were these people upset that you were making a butt plug, or were they just like...
They thought it was hilarious.
They wanted pre-order?
Yeah.
You should have got 10 pre-orders and sent them this
I honestly,
story anyway.
like, it made me, like, I'm so excited about this project, and Will has done such a good job that I didn't read them all. I just kind of scanned them. It's like, oh, this isn't fun. So,
sorry, I don't
and it's
mean to
also
laugh.
like, that was not the right play. Like, I can't post all the pictures. I can't explain about the project. Like, there's
very limited.
I can't give any of the backstory to this really cool project. So it's just not the best place.
But knowing your
to
audience there,
put
too.
in-
It
yes.
was just...
I've really taken an interest in toy collecting lately. I don't have the means to really get into a big collection myself, but I've become a little bit fascinated with people who do, especially people who are like grown people who pay a lot of money. I have, my friend Kenton, who I host the Star Wars Nerds podcast with, has a very large Star Wars figures collection that he's been collecting for a long time, and he's dropped lots and lots of money. And when I go to a con with him, he looks at that Star Wars black like Jabba the Hutt that's at that one table, and he's like, oh, should I buy that? And he ends up buying it by the end of the weekend. But it's like he almost hates that he has to buy these things.
Well, he doesn't have, but there is that compulsion. I mean, we're all seeking joy in the objects that are around us, right? And fandom is particularly susceptible to that, like otaku level, must have it all, must know it all thing, that it can be a dangerous, like collecting is a danger. Like I used to own a comic store, right? And I was like the anti-comic store owner in that I would tell people, wait for these trades. Or I would tell people, no, don't buy 2 copies of this. They printed too many copies. It'll never be worth anything. And they're like, well, I want to have one to read and one to collect. I'm like, no.
They did a silver foil cover, though, so it's going to be
and
worth
I would
so
talk
much
them
more.
out of it, and I never bought it. I mean, because it upset me, the idea that this level of loyalty almost, but it's also borders on compulsion, retailers just abuse. And I didn't like that. It's one of the things I didn't like about how I saw things almost roll out with the Baby Metal book. Like there was this idea that maybe that we should do this, and then they'll end up buying more copies, and they'll end up, and I kept saying, like, if it's the same person that has to buy all those copies, I'm against it. Like I don't want to do that. Right? Because the content's not different.
No, but there was a special edition of Baby Metal that you did release, right?
They did, and that was a super limited. They numbered them.
I think that's a huge, there's a great documentary on Netflix about baseball cards, and that's what I've been thinking of as you've been talking about that. How many of those companies were just, people are freaking out about baseball cards. Let's print them until our printers run out of ink and tell them that they're rare,
is it about
right?
like the big thing in the 90s that happened? And it wasn't just baseball, it was like hockey cards.
the
sports
trading
cards in general.
Yeah.
That was a huge business in the 90s.
And it's so much of it was just 100% bullshit.
It doesn't mean anything. Not just to me, to anybody else. You just say it does, because some professor somewhere told you it did.
But I'm wondering how much of that is now spilling out into that board game culture. Because you see so many games now. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. We've got more than 3 games in production here in the studio. And figuring out how to best market it and how to add,
like RPGs and stuff.
RPGs, board games, like
tabletop games.
The fact that stores like Game Night and stores like Amusing Games, like they're huge now. And right here, what is the Game Cafe?
Across the board.
Across the board, right? It's
they're
enormous,
always busy.
but they're always busy, and people are into it. And I love that the reason that it's happening is because people are getting together with their friends. But also, game companies repackaging old games, adding boosters to old games, right? Just like reskinning essentially the same product over and over and over again.
Well, think about like all the
how many
different versions of Monopoly are out there?
Right.
And it's the exact same freaking game. There's no other way to play Monopoly, although they have come up with some gimmicky things.
Yeah.
I think they had one there's no actual money. It's all electronic.
Credit cards, yeah.
And there's one, I don't remember, there's another thing where it just speaks to you or something. Anyway, so that I don't like that kind of stuff. But
it's hard because we're literally like building a toy. Like this is a merchandising opportunity.
Well, but this is not the kind of...
We're not repackaging Inspector Gadget, though.
No, but is this meant to be a toy for display or a toy to play with?
So we're
It's
talking
gonna
about a
be-
few different versions, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is going to be like a little version that we
I'd like
want.
to see one with like a bendy arms.
Yeah,
and stuff.
we've been talking
We
about
talk
that.
about that,
Yeah.
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 Right now, for the prototype phase, we want to make 4 or 5 prototypes that'll be available at the Calgary Comic Con, and those will be display only. Like we're going to
They'll all be
glue it
slightly
in place,
different.
and it'll be in a
Are they be
display
fully
case.
painted and everything?
No.
Okay.
One or two might be painted. We're going to see, but only if we can do a job that does it justice.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to find somebody who's good at airbrushing, I think.
The first set of them is going to be like fall into that collectible market. Like we're about to go into a bigger production with these. These are the prototypes. Here they are on display. Yeah, they're for sale because, you know, we made them and we want to share them. And if you want a piece of that history, you can have it. But we've also been talking about how to make a low price point item so that nobody feels pressured into, like no long-term supporter feels like, well, I'd better buy that. Like I've bought everything else that you've made. I better buy that. We don't want that. So we're trying to make like a low price point item that is like, hey, if you really want to support the project, here is something you can play with that's small and not expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? But that's a difficult thing because you want to keep the lights on, right? It's expensive to print books. It's expensive to make things.
Especially the way you guys are doing it here, whether it's like kind of, you're not doing mass production in China
it's
or
like
anything like that.
bespoke toys. Yeah.
It is pennies per toy when you do it on a big assembly line somewhere else in the world, but here you're
not
printing
us.
these out
Ourselves.
Yeah, so that's a more expensive process.
And I'm a big advocate of the hand numbered thing. Even like there have been so I've recently got into limited edition foil printing, and I print there's a foil number in the bottom of my print that says this is X out of 250 copies. And when I started, I shot myself in the foot. I didn't expect the demand that there was. So when I started, I only did 50 of one print. I only did 100 of the other, and they lasted a show and a half. And I'm like, well, now I can never do that again. But that forces me to come up with something else, like a new piece. Like I can't go back to that piece, but now I can come up with a new piece and move forward.
So
it's the philosophy of the rarity here is that scarcity principle works because it drives sales, but then it's also honest.
Yeah.
And it keeps you always making up a new composition and making up a new thing.
Yeah.
And yes, you might have a lot of foil prints over the course of a year, but there's only going to be 50 or 100 of each of these ever. And so if you want another one, you'll have to get the new one. And if you don't like that new one, fine.
You don't have to get all of them.
Yeah, you don't have
You
to-
just
they're
got to get
not
the ones
like-
you like.
And I like that about Baby Metal. That really, there was like the big $200 version where it was like 12 by 18
it
and
came
massive.
with 4 prints, 5
and it
prints.
was a hand numbered edition, correct?
Yeah.
Like, are they?
Yeah.
They had a set
and
number print.
I did individual illustrations in each one that went with each
Right,
one.
right.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the comic book days, they would just keep printing until it stopped selling. I imagine, right? And then tell everybody that it's rare and it's going to be worth money someday.
The worst part about, of course, you guys you're referring to the foil comic cover.
Yeah.
This is Spider-Man, the first Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, which I did have, and I did have there was 2 versions. There was a gold and a silver, and I had them all, and the regular. I had
And
all
I
3
believe
of
that
them.
was the first Spider-Man comic. Might have been the first comic. Sell over 1 million copies.
Yeah, so more of those exist in the world than any other comic book ever made. So
Yeah.
not worth any money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, and part of I understand that aspect of the collection where it's like, you want to get something because it's rare or it's hard to find. There's a challenge to it to find stuff. I know people who collect video games with that perspective, or even the Star Wars characters, the ones that were, the original run of Star Wars characters, which again is, there's a really well-known story about how that all rolled out. My friend Kenton has the blue Snaggletooth, which is the one that was made in error before. The story is that they made it before they saw the movie. And so Snaggletooth in the movie, the character's short.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that when they made the toy. All they saw was like a head and shoulders photo of the actor in the makeup or whatever. So they made him a normal sized person, same size as Han Solo and everybody else. And he gave him a blue shirt, and he was wearing a red shirt in the movie. So then they ran it here. Actually, it was in Canada more than any other place.
So you could have Snaggletooth and like his dad if you had them both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but that was, again, made in error. So that's a very, very rare character. It's probably the rarest Star Wars character out there.
So, like, they made one with a wrong lightsaber, didn't they?
Yes, there was a Luke Skywalker there was a retractable lightsaber that didn't really work very well, and they stopped making those.
Yeah, it was terrible.
There never was. There's a legend out there that there was a Boba Fett that fired the rocket out of the top of the jetpack. That was never a thing.
There was a prototype, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a prototype, but they did not mass produce it.
Yeah.
Because obviously choking hazard.
Yeah.
Little tiny pieces of plastic coming out of something.
Shoot right into your back of your throat as you go whoosh, making the rocket noise.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so I get that part of it. What I don't get is like someone just buying something just for the sake of buying it, and being a completionist in this era where they just keep churning out things.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. Buy it because you want to own it.
And binge culture is also going to change, I think, our relationship to that completionist idea, right? Like you're used to getting all of it when you want it, and then if you miss it, you just kind of like there's always something else.
There's so much content being
that it'll be interesting to see where collectability falls, and also as let's face it, as you approach the idea of a sustainable future, mass producing plastic toys and then stockpiling them by the hundreds in your house, that's like, that's not helping any of the problems we have on Earth right now.
No.
Okay, so I was just kind of thinking, like, in the 90s, this was such a big thing. How much of that, like, you couldn't go to the internet and actually look up what it was worth. You were just going by, like, what you
price
heard,
guides,
right?
maybe.
Yeah.
And like with the
price guides.
baseball cards, it was like the baseball card companies were printing the magazines telling you how much they were worth, but they were just making up numbers.
Yeah.
But now you can, like, while you're at, the Comic-Con and you see this toy, you can look it up and see, like, oh, this one's selling on eBay for $13.
Yeah.
Why am I going to buy this $20 one?
Yeah.
So is like the consumers can educate themselves instantly, whereas back in the day, you had no idea that silver was actually worthless.
Yeah.
You were told by the comic book guy
that's why I bought it.
It
These
was
days-
going to be worth a lot.
Yeah, there's a little place near where I live called Mulvey Market where there's a guy who sells like vintage and retro comics, and I'll buy old copies of Amazing Stories or Amazing Fantasy there. And often he'll adjust the price right there. Like he'll say, like he has a little sign that says it'll be the list price, and then you look it up. And so it's like playing the stock market. Some days that book is cheaper than the sticker price, and some days it's higher, right, depending on the demand. And that's just what he does. He's like, if you wanted to buy it today online, it would cost you $35. So that's what the price is today. But tomorrow it might only be $12, and that's what I'll charge you.
See, I'm willing to pay a little bit more in person because of the convenience for it. Like I can walk out of that thing and hold it in my hand. So I'm okay if it's a few dollars more than what I would buy for it online, pay for it online, because I have to wait for it to come to me.
Right.
So I'd rather like have that immediacy of purchasing it right there. So I don't mind if it's too much. If it's a crazy amount more, then of course not. But for the most part, it's not that big of a difference.
But it is kind of nice that those, like the baseball company cards, like they can't do that in this day and age. Like, yeah, you
can't artificially inflate it. It's going to be interesting for me. The Automatic Age is going to have the lowest price point of any mass market project that I've ever had. So it actually, like, as far as consumer accessibility, right, it'll be, I think in Canada it's like $14, and that makes it like $11.95 or something, or maybe $11 in the States, to have that new book. And I'm really looking forward to what that is. I've never had it. We usually do this bespoke model, right, of like really low runs out at shows, get it from us or don't get it at all, and the price reflects that rarity. But I also have a book that's coming out now that also does not have an enormous print run. that is going to be at a really low price, comparatively. It'll be interesting to see what that does, because I'm going to have a number of copies for the shows myself, and it'll be the lowest priced item on the table for me, but also my newest, and probably, at least in the next 6 months, it'll be the one with the most quote unquote media attention.
When's it coming out?
April 15th is the launch at McNally,
But putting my evil business hat on for a second.
Ooh, evil. I like evil Justin.
Regardless,
put your sunglasses on for this.
Put my
He just all of a sudden grew goatee. Everybody.
Yeah, got real pointy. The amount, so it's kind of the new thing on your table. Mm-hmm. And so people who follow you will see it for the first time over the next couple months.
Yeah.
If it was priced at $10 versus $25 in a limited edition, that window's the same. I'm just wondering,
should I do an alternate cover with a foil stamp?
Yes.
At the end of that,
you monsters.
At the end of the 6 months, people are going to be disinterested either way. If it was a limited edition with a higher price point, in 6 months, are people still going to be like, oh, I've seen it already?
So that's a really excellent point to consider. And I think that...
So why not make it?
Well, because within a 12-month window, the second book in that series will also be out. Mm-hmm. And then 12 months before then the third one will also be out.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
And so there is this... because the books they're not huge in length. It's maybe 150 pages. You'll be able to consume it. Yeah, it's bite-sized. It's like a single serving. I'm hoping that the illustrations I'm add to that serving count, right? You'll want to go back. And I've hidden some things in the illustrations that actually add to the narrative if you're paying close attention. But my hope is that someone who's like, oh, you have one. Oh, you have another one. Oh, you have the total bulk of them is going to equal... $30 or $40 to get them all at once, which is what they're used to spending on one of our limited edition items. So that in the long game, that 80-20 rule now pays off, because someone who's used to paying $30 or $40 for something when they see me once a year now gets these 3 books, right? And there's more on the way. I'm hoping and books create a longer engagement. You might buy it but not read it right away. So then a month later you're going to read it, and then now the work is on your mind. You look it up. Oh, there's another one coming out right away. It'll be an experiment. So I don't mean to sound like we've got it all figured out. What I'm suggesting is that in the body of work that I have now, it's an area that I feel we haven't done properly yet, and we're trying some new things to see if it will work. When we did Red Earth, which is a similar format, it's a small, short book with tons of illustrations. I've been seeing a huge uptick of people interested in that format. They really like the idea that they can read it in one sitting if they want to, or they can peruse it slowly if they want to. I love reading a physical book on a bus or a plane or a train or an airplane, where I do a lot, right? That bite-sized thing. Mm-hmm. So as an airport book, Automatic Age definitely fits that model.
Cool. Bringing it back around to airports.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what we're all about. So this has been Super Pulp Science. Thank you for taking this airport journey with us. This is Gregory Kmieciak encouraging you to join the fight and make comics.